Congress wants AI training pay. VMware customers just want VMware. And swatting. It's not just for irate gamers anymore. All that and more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live US support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
Good morning and welcome to the January 12th, 2024 episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Matt Fox, standing in for Ray Orsini, and I'm here with my just too awesome co-host, Tony Francisco. Tony, Happy New Year. We haven't seen each other.
This is weird. We're 2024. I got the private messages saying, why do I have any other shirts? I'm always in a black shirt. I have a sweatshirt, which is ironically just a faded black shirt. But no, I'm not going to tell anyone that. I'm just kidding. Coming in casual today. An amazing new year. And of course, coming to see you co-hosting is awesome as always, Matt. How was your new year? Anything exciting happen? Any big objectives this year that you're trying to meet?
The big objective for me this year is to do all the stuff I did last year better. And that means not just, working out more, eating better, whatever it is. It's finally learning how to do electric circuitry and building some of my own PC boards. That's my thing this year. That's what I want to learn. Ooh, and I'm really excited to get started on it. And I can't wait to start showing things maybe on the show, give you a little something I worked on. And 2024 is going to be the year Matt builds something interesting. So just watch out.
Oh, I love that. So electric circuitry, for those of you who keep up with my social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff, I got into electric circuitry as well. Started by laying out two 220 volt, 50 amp circuits to the front of that, one in the front, one in the back of the house. I may have overstepped a little bit on the, hey, let me start with electric circuitry. The good news is I had a real electrician come in and actually do the panel. He's like, this is like grade A quality stuff. I did 18 inches underground. But there was 2 times when I was like, oh, someone could really die doing this. Like, this is real, this is real deal stuff. But it's exciting.
I don't want a Topsy situation over here. I don't need that.
Yeah. You know what we need, though?
News? I think we need some news.
Let's do it. Let's get in the news. Coming in hot, my first story from Wired.com. Congress wants tech companies to pay up for AI training data. During a Senate hearing on the impact of AI on journalism, there was a bipartisan consensus that tech giants, such as OpenAI, should pay media outlets for using their content in AI projects. Senators argued that it is morally and legally required for AI companies to compensate for training data that they use. Moreover, the media industry leaders have called for mandatory licensing as they accuse AI companies of using content without compensation and violating copyright laws. They want lawmakers to clarify that using journalistic content without licensing agreement is not protected by the fair use doctrine. While some hearing attendees were in favor of mandatory licensing, journalism professor Jeff Jarvis opposed it, stating that such a move could harm the information ecosystem. Experts outside the committee room also disagreed on mandating license data, as it may be impractical, favoring big firms and create enormous costs for startup AI firms. Matt, let's just unpack this just a little bit. We have 2 sides, but as we know in every story, there are 3 sides. There's your side, my side, and then the truth. Okay. Right now we have 2 sides. So let's figure out those 2 sides and then figure out what the truth is. We have the AI company saying, hey, listen, we're going to provide all this data. We've got the other side, which is, hey, you're using our data. You can't use that. Then we have the truth in the middle. And the truth in the middle is go.
The truth in the middle is I'm highly biased because I spent over a decade working for publishing companies and magazine titles.
I knew I was like, I am throwing this ball over to someone who is clearly opinionated on this because you have, what's that called? Oh, experience. You're not
I have
just
friends at Hearst. I have friends at Condé Nast. I have friends at Penguin and all these other places. And I've worked at those types of places as well. I've seen how much work goes into the publishing process. I've seen how much work goes into journalism. So it's very difficult for me to feel okay with there not being any type of fee structure for that work. This is not an apples to apples scenario, but if I want to learn something new, let's say circuitry, and I decide to go to, is Barnes & Noble still open?
Yes.
Is Borders still open? Is B. Dalton still? I don't know. We go to a store that happens to sell these things called books, right?
Oh.
I got to buy that book. I'm going to buy that knowledge, and I'm going to apply it to myself, and I'm going to use that experience and knowledge to go do something interesting with it. I don't find there to be too much of a difference there.
Okay, so let's play this out. Nothing is new. We can all pretty much agree to that. What do they say? There's 7 types of movies, and here's I mean, it is fascinating when you really.
At the end of the day, everything's Die Hard. I get it.
That's the best Christmas movie. So if nothing is new, and this particular model, this large language model reader, this particular, what we're calling, let's just call it AI, this particular mechanism is a hyper efficient way of regurgitating everything that's already been compiled after it itself was regurgitated over millennia, generations of people thinking, talking, acting. Is that really stealing when it's already been stolen? And that's the question that I have. That being said, because there were not those hyper effective and efficient ways of detecting that in prior generations, it is now here in combination with the hyper effective and efficient delivery system. So we have 2 systems competing with each other. What is the solution for that? Because I'm just going to pause for a moment and throw in this little nugget. Copyright, patents. I personally am not a fan of patents that extend more than 5 years. Personally, I think that inhibits the evolutionary process and innovation. It stagnates innovation in general, and it monopolizes it towards a particular party. So, what is the solution in this particular case that is not going to hyper button everything down, clamp it down in a way that, like I said, stagnates the innovation and evolution of everything we're trying to accomplish?
Personally, I think that more demonstrations of how much AI can help society would help with that. For example, show me more things that AI can accomplish for me that I cannot accomplish in the span of my lifetime. Show me more examples.
Let's pause there. What if that's part of that solution is regurgitating something that someone wrote a while ago and saying, hey, you cannot use that, but they wrote about it a while ago. The combination of that and something else created a compiled result that you're actually looking for. But by definition, there is a conflict by reusing that, when in fact it may not have been pulled directly, but the concept was used in the solution that you're asking. Which, where I'm going is, and we could talk about this for days. This is a non-ending conversation, but we're getting into less of the regurgitating and more of the validating. What can I say and what I cannot say? So, what are your thoughts on that?
You said this. It was a very open conversation. I think that's what's happening right now. I wish we were having a better back and forth on this, but it's a very difficult topic. It's a chicken or the egg. What came before? Chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, I want you to prove to me the value of what we're doing, but I also don't want you to have access to the data that you're going to need to prove the value of what's going on here. So how about you just give me a little something? You give me a slap on the wrist. Let me prove what we can do, and then we'll have a better conversation about this in the future. That's the way I see that. But you know what?
I like that.
We really, I wish we had Phil Buck. Phil Buck. He is the host of AI Roundup, which is an amazing show.
He knows AI.
He does.
Imagine if he had like his own show that talked just about AI.
And it was like once or twice a week, maybe?
Well, once or twice a week. AI Roundup, everyone will see it. But it is very clear, more importantly, 1, we're running out of time. We're going to jump in the next story. 2, the future is absolutely uncertain. And 3, you have a story about uncertain futures.
I do. And I think it's time to get into it. Maybe. And in my first story, VMware customers face uncertain future as Broadcom ends VMware partner programs. This is from Sharon Harding of Ars Technica. VMware customers face an uncertain future as Broadcom, their new owner, terminates the virtualization and cloud computing company's partner programs. Broadcom is moving VMware's partner programs to their invitation-only Broadcom Advantage Partner Program from February 5th, 2024. And this is going to end VMware's partnership with solutions providers, resellers, and distributors. In addition, VMware's Cloud Service Provider Partner Program will stop transacting under the VMware Partner Connect program by April 30th, 2024. Broadcom's transition to a subscription-based model for VMware has raised some concerns around transparency and prioritizing larger partners, which may impact smaller customers. Customers and partners should prepare for changes and evaluate the implications of continuing their relationship with Broadcom. Now, this is an interesting story. I haven't had to use VMware for some time. I was a vSphere user and an ESX user back in the day. I've spent some time with Zen and, of course, Microsoft and the hypervisor and Microsoft Virtual PC 2004 because I'm old. And when I hear this, I get a little nervous. One of the things that came from the article that wasn't included in the reading we just did was that it's a perpetual licensing is going away, and they're switching over to a subscription-based model. If I were an IT director today and I was using VMware and I heard that, I would probably be running towards Microsoft pretty quickly. The idea of a subscription-based model for the virtualization of my infrastructure is something that would keep me up at night. Would you say that's fairly accurate, Tony?
That is that is the bane of existence of every IT and infrastructure manager, director, architect at this point, because although building it, set it and forget it is a great way to think, what most executives don't understand is that there is what's that called? Oh, management and yes. The evolutionary process. You don't just build anything and let it sit there. Now, in an application world, that used to be the case, but in today's application world, where the attack surface isn't just what you built, it's what you built and everything it resides on top of, and everything it refers out to the outside world, such as JavaScript libraries, etc., upstream items that translate downstream into the very application that you designed. That evolutionary process has to continue. So the cost of everything has increased. But now we're talking about the infrastructure itself, and the management tools of them are all moving to that subscription model, which makes the one-time capital expense now go into, unfortunately, an operational expense. And from the executive position, that is just brutal. What are your thoughts on if you got forced into this right now? And VMware they're moving to an invitation-only model, which that screams to me, hey, we're getting rid of the white noise. It doesn't matter. We're going to focus on the big customers, which in itself could alter the deliverables. Would you continue with the VMware solution, or would you find something else? And if you wanted to find something else, what would that be? You mentioned you jumped into vSphere. What are the other solutions? Is even having a VMware solution applicable now that you can go to an AWS, out of the gate, all in one box? It has the overarching management tools baked into that. What are your thoughts? What would you do?
Hey, as long as it's not a US East 1, I'm all in.
That was really funny.
I've been burned enough times too, folks. But realistically, if I were in the situation where I was using VMware in my infrastructure right now and I got this, I'd be looking for an alternative immediately. I'm a little old school. We'll just put it that way. In the back of my head, I have seen a couple of words flashing constantly the entire time we've been talking about this, and that is the beauty of my old Microsoft volume licensing, where it would say expires at volume licensing end. It ends when I want it to end. It doesn't end at 11:59 on a Saturday night when I'm asleep because I've got 8,000 other things that are going on, and that's what scares me about this situation. That it's that monthly kind of the billing cycles, and it's something you're essentially renting less than owning these days. And I'm personally not okay with that.
I'm going to throw out one thing before we jump into the next story, and I'm going to give you a little insight. Hopefully no one, I don't get in trouble for this. I am on a front row basis aware that we'll call them larger companies, the ones that everyone that's watching this right now, listening to this right now, absolutely 100% uses, are moving away from the perpetual license model to an ESD subscription model over the next 3 to 5 years. 100% convinced. I'm on a front row basis, observation basis, maybe a little engaged more than I'm alluding to, but I know that everyone's moving to that subscription basis away from the perpetual license. So this isn't just a VMware issue that we're talking about. This is going to be across the board. So everyone, please be aware of the gravity of what we're talking about right now, because it will in fact affect you, even if it doesn't relate to VMware.
In fact, this actually, really quickly, before we get to our third story for the day, it recalls BMW having a subscription model years ago. I don't know if they have that anymore. Same idea. And that's why I own a 1994 Jeep Cherokee. All right, we've got one more story, and it's one that's it's a serious one. Tony, let's get into this.
Let's do it. Jumping on top of my next story from darkreading.com. Swatting becomes the latest extortion tactic in ransomware attacks. In the latest wave of ransomware attacks, threat actors employ an alarming tactic known as swatting to target medical institutions through their patients, forcing hospitals to pay ransom demands. This method involves making repeated calls to police, falsely reporting bomb threats, or other severe allegations against patients. The intention is to pressure hospitals into paying ransoms to protect their patients for such threats. According to a spokesperson, Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center was aware of cyber criminals issuing swatting threats. The center promptly informed the FBI and Seattle police, who, in turn, notified the local police. Cyber professionals have tracked an escalation of extortion tactics. Whether they result in ransomware payments depends on the institution targeted. So, Matt, let's talk about the severity of this issue. Swatting was made, I'd say, a little bit more popular in the teen. If you remember the gaming and the teens calling SWAT teams on others during gaming tournaments to make the police knock on the door, bang on the door because of a bomb threat, they would have to get off and they in turn would lose the tournament. A horrible situation. And that's been around for probably 15 plus years.
Yeah, I actually did a little bit of research on it this morning because it was one of those stories you see and it just kind of gives you chills. And it turns out the FBI has been using the term swatting since about 2009. And the notable swatting incident that you were getting at with the video games took place in 2017. And it was a feud between two gamers over a $1.50 bet on, what was that game? Call of Duty. It was like the World War II. I don't remember which version it was. But, you hear that. And I remember seeing that on the news back in 2017 and just being disgusted by that. $1.50 and someone got killed.
Someone died. I remember that.
And now we're seeing this happening to hospitals where people are supposed to be the opposite of that. They're healed.
Well, someone who's watching this show right now, a personal friend of mine, CEO of another organization, his daughter's school has had an issue with swatting bomb threats to their school because a student calling from their mother's basement, not a joke, was calling in to say there's a bomb threat, I planted bombs, I'm done with the school, and using VoIP hopping or a line hopping mechanism through VoIP, a variety of VoIP accounts to mask the point of origin. And they did this so they didn't have to go to school. That was it. Or they had their homework, their assignment was late. That's what it was. And they did it multiple times. They finally got caught. And I'm trying to understand, when does the, hey, that's really cool and that's funny, cross the line? And I'm just going to throw this out for the youngins out there. Back in our day, when you would take apart a Volkswagen Bug and then reassemble it in the hall of your school, overnight, and the shop crew would do that. I personally was part of something like that. And that's horrible. No, it's actually kind of funny. Because you can't get the car in and out. But then now you guys got to get it out. But that escalated to, hey, we're going to take a car and we're going to push it in the pool. No, now you're destructive. You've actually destroyed the pool because it cracks the
Polluted it.
bottom. There's
Done.
oil. And yeah. So when does something that was kind of funny and cool become destructive? And what is the repercussions of that? And we have clearly lost our way.
Absolutely. It's sad that we hear about things like this happening. We all need help at some point in our lives. We're all going to be in a hospital. Something's going to go wrong. And nobody, not even the people that are putting these calls in, want to have to deal with a situation like this when maybe their leg's being amputated or they're being hospitalized on for something else. And
A
it's gonna be
birth
linked
is in the
with death.
process. Okay.
I'm not trying to be funny here. It's just a random thought that I had earlier today again with this is that, do you remember that line from the original Friday movie where Clarence Witherspoon puts his fists up and he talks to Ice Cube and he goes, "You use these. You don't use a gun because you some days you win, some days you lose. But at the end of the day, you get to live another day." It's you don't be the coward that picks the phone call. I'm not telling people to fight. I'm saying clear the air between people. Figure things out. Don't turn a situation like this into an opportunity to make a few bucks and kill a handful of people at the same time. And tell you what, if you do when you get caught, whew.
I couldn't agree more, but I thought you were going to say, "Hey, that's my bike." Do you remember? And
Devo's coming. Put your chains in.
Devo. I have a shirt that says "I'm Devo. That's my bike." Anyway, hey, you know what? Unfortunate topic, but excellent stories. Let's wrap it up, and I think you are jumping right into the notables.
Oh, it's notable time. And in my first notable, Microsoft January 2024 Patch Tuesday release fixes 49 flaws and 12 RCE bugs. This is by Lawrence Abrams for Bleeping Computer. Microsoft's January 2024 Patch Tuesday addresses 49 flaws, focusing on 12 remote code execution vulnerabilities. Two critical issues include a Windows Kerberos security feature bypass and a Hyper-V RCE. The vulnerabilities cover various categories such as elevation of privilege, security feature bypass, and information disclosure, as well as other items. Notably, a CVE-2024-20677 fix prevents the exploitation of an Office remote code execution vulnerability involving FBX 3D model files. A critical Windows Kerberos bug, CVE-2024-20674, is also resolved, preventing authentication bypass through malicious Kerberos messages. No actively exploited or publicly disclosed vulnerabilities have been reported this month. And in my next notable, HPE to acquire Juniper Networks for $14 billion from Jordan Novitt of CNBC. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, HPE, will acquire Juniper Networks for $14 billion in an all-cash deal valuing each share at $40. The deal, expected to conclude late 2024 or early 2025, follows a 32% premium over Juniper's Monday closing price. HPE expects the acquisition to double its networking business and be profitable to adjusted earnings per share in the first year. Juniper CEO would lead the combined group under HPE's CEO Antonio Neri. This move aims to strengthen HPE's position in networking with anticipated annual cost savings of $450 million within 3 years of completion.
In my first notable mention from VentureBeat.com, OpenAI launches new ChatGPT team targeting SMBs. OpenAI is expanding its generative AI offering by introducing the new ChatGPT team tier, targeting small and medium-sized businesses. Priced at $30 per user per month, billed monthly, or with a $5 discount when billed annually. It bridges the gap between individual subscriptions and enterprise plans. The ChatGPT team offers access to GPT-4 with a 32K context window, DALL-E 3, and ChatGPT 4 with Vision. It also provides a secure workspace for teams, custom GPT creation and sharing, and an admin console, and early access to new features. Positive feedback has already been received from various industries, early adopters of the GPT team, including SourceGraph and the Boston Children's Hospital, who have highlighted its practical benefits. In my second notable mention from bleepingcomputer.com, Microsoft Exchange 2019 has reached the end of mainstream support. As of January 9th, 2023, Microsoft has formally concluded mainstream support for Exchange Server 2019, its on-premise mail server software. Security patches will address newly discovered issues during the extended support period until October 14th, 2025. However, no bug fixes or design change requests, those DCRs, will be accepted. Exchange Server 2019 is set to receive 2 cumulative updates in 2024, with CU14 in the first half of 2024, scheduled for release by the month end, and CU15 in the second half of the year. The updates include enhancements like TLS 1.3 support and SMIME control fix. Microsoft plans to share details on the future of Exchange soon.
Midjourney, a name once revered as the top dog in the AI image generation game, now finds itself navigating a thorny legal thicket. The issue at hand? A vast database comprising the styles of 16,000 artists allegedly used or intended to be used to train its generative AI program without permission. And while we still have to at least float the possibility that working under the principle of fair use perhaps is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, perhaps what they intend with this list might somehow be okay. The communications surrounding the implementation of this list make it very clear that Midjourney has no concerns or respect for the IP of artists. At the heart of this controversy is Exhibit J, a spreadsheet that's become a pivotal piece of evidence in a copyright lawsuit against Midjourney. This list, allegedly curated by the company itself, not only names artists, but also categorizes styles and genres. And if you are a Midjourney user, you'll be interested to know there's even a tab of all the banned words that you can't use on Midjourney. This list, alongside discussions on how to dodge legal bullets, has set the art and tech communities ablaze. From blue chip darlings of the modern art world to a 6-year-old Magic the Gathering fan artist, it seems no one's work was off limits. I've been reading a thread by John Lamb on X that again and again people, working artists, are sounding off in the comments that they found their name on this list. And at the top of that thread, some screenshots, one from Daniel Russell, a senior software developer at Midjourney. He is quoted saying, "Just need to launder it through a fine-tuned codex." And then if you go a little further along, an anonymous poster, or at least someone that's been blurred out in the screenshot, says, "All you have to do is just use those scraped data sets and conveniently forget what you used to train the model. Boom, legal problem solved forever." And I got a note. It was reacted with 4 100 emojis. Wow, you're a genius, bro. That's a great idea. There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's see what's happening this week. Starting on Tuesday the 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern, CyberWise employees How to Stay Safe Online, presented by Fin Security. And then on Wednesday the 17th at 3 p.m., Transforming Culture for Revenue Growth, presented by Crewwho. And on the 18th at 11 o'clock Eastern, Human Hacking Webinar, presented by ThreatLocker. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week we have, just right after this episode later today at 11 o'clock Eastern, MSP Community Live is back for episode 21. And then on Monday the 15th at 10 a.m. Eastern, AI Roundup has a new episode unpacking AI voice technology and the ethics of George Carlin recreated with AI. And on the 18th, Thursday at 6:30 p.m., it is a ladies' night takeover at the Tech Bar for episode 68.
So how'd you like today's show? If you like it, please hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, hit it 2 times. Make sure it's an even number so we can get the like either way. Anyway, if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. And did you know that we have a Discord where we can post all our stories all week, and more importantly, you can vote on the stories and even vote on which ones we're going to cover. As our friend Rich Banky says, make sure you tell a friend. Be sure to follow us on social media at MSP TV. Do you have any questions? Email us, news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or just leave us a voicemail at 833-MSP-Network. Matt, I am so excited. We had so many things we talked about. We covered quite a few things. I'm showing up casual for the first real portion of the year, which means I'm coming to my black shirts coming up, which everyone can then criticize me for, but it's okay because I only have like 2 of them. I just rotate until the end of the year, and then I bring out the next faded black shirt for next year to surprise everyone, which makes it not a surprise.
I dig it, man. I think it's a system. I think you stick with it, and it's a part of who you are. I love it.
Predictability and consistency. So go ahead, Matt. Land the plane. Let's sign it off.
Everyone, have an excellent weekend. Be excellent to each other. I'm going Bill and Ted on this one. We're going Wild Stallions. We're not doing a Jerry Springer.
Let's be excellent to each other like that.
Be excellent to each other, my dudes. Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Be safe.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
Congress wants AI training pay. VMware customers just want VMware. And swatting. It's not just for irate asshole gamers anymore. That and more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch. I can't believe I just said asshole gamers. That just came out. That was a slip. I'll do that over again really quickly. Wow. It's a very angering article, by the way.
I'm so close to being done.
That was my fault. That was totally my fault.
Yes. Okay. Here we go.